Welcome to our channel where we break down complex concepts into simple everyday language. Today we are diving into the fascinating world of microeconomics, a subject that might sound intimidating, but it's something we encounter every single day. Whether you are choosing between an ice cream or a coffee, running a small business, or even thinking about how to best use your time and resources, microeconomics is at play. It's all about understanding how individuals, business, and even government make decisions about limited resources. These choices shape our world from the prices of everyday items to the way company operates. In this video, we'll explore the meaning of microeconomics, its key objectives, and how it impacts business. We'll also break down some fundamental concepts like production possibility curve and opportunity cost using examples that are relevant to us here in India. Now let us understand the meaning of microeconomics. It is the branch of economics that deals with the behavior of individual units in an economy, like consumers, firms, and industries. It focuses on the decision making processes of these entities and how they interact in market. The core focus is on supply and demand, pricing mechanism, and the efficiency of resources use at the individual level. And it also helps us understand how individual consumer maximize their utility, that is getting most satisfaction or happiness from the things they are buying. How firms maximize their profit and how prices are determined in different types of market like perfect competition, monopoly, monopolistic competition, or oligopoly. Now let us consider an example of microeconomics. Consider the market for smartphone in India. Microeconomics would study the behavior of individual consumer, that is preferences for brand, it can be a Samsung, Apple, etc. And the decision making processes of firms like pricing strategy, product differentiation, marketing and promotion that produces these smartphones. It would also analyze how prices are set based on demand and supply. Again, demand. There is an increasing demand for smartphones among youth consumers. What happens to supply? The supply problem due to global chip shortage. Now let us understand the objectives of microeconomics with an examples. Efficient allocation of resources. Consider an example like agricultural sector in India relies heavily on water and it is a limited resources. Microeconomics helps determine how water should be allocated between competing uses like irrigation, domestic use, and industrial consumption to ensure that it is used most efficiently. Objective number two, that is price determination. Consider an example here. The price of onions fluctuate based on factors such as production level, transportation cost, and demand from consumers. So here microeconomics helps explain why prices rise during shortage and fall when there is a surplus. Number three, that is the consumer satisfaction. Consumer in India may choose between spending their money on basic necessities like food and clothing or on luxury items like smartphones or dining out. It helps analyze these choices based on the concept of utility maximization. That is, it's making choices that make you as happy as possible given your budget or resources. Objective number four, profit maximization. A small textile business in Surat might analyze how to reduce production cost by optimizing the use of labor and raw material while determining the price at which they. Now, what is optimizing the use of labor here? That is by training workers to use machinery more efficiently and reduce raw material waste by improving cutting techniques to minimize fabric waste. Number five, that is the market efficiency. A bakery at school or a college, there are cookies and cupcake for sale. If the cookies are priced too high, only a few people will buy them, while many people will buy the cheaper cookies. Seeing this, the cookie seller might lower the price to attract more buyers. Once the cookie price is adjusted, more people buy cookie and the seller sells more cookies at a fair price. Microeconomics issues in business. It involves the study of how individual consumers, firms, and market make decisions regarding the allocation of resources. Some key microeconomic issues are: number one, demand and supply. Now let us understand this with an example. Now demand for electric vehicle in India is increasing due to increasing fuel price and government incentives. However, the supply is constrained by the availability of charging infrastructure and the production capacity of EV manufacturers. This imbalance can lead to higher price of electric vehicles, influencing both consumer demand and business decisions on product expansion. Number two, price elasticity of demand. Now let us understand this with an example here. The price elasticity of demand for essential commodities like rice and wheat in India is relatively low because they are basic necessities. Even if prices increases, the demand remains relatively stable, allowing business and policy makers to predict consumer behavior more accurately. Number three, production and cost. Consider an example here. A textile company must decide how much fabric to produce by considering the cost of raw material, that is cotton and labor. If the cotton price rises due to poor harvest, the company might reduce production to avoid higher cost affecting overall market supply. Number four, market structure. Now example we can consider here is a telecom company in India is an oligopoly with a few dominant players like Jio, Airtel and VI. These companies engage in price wars and product differentiation strategies to gain market share, influencing the entire industry pricing and service level. Number five, consumer behavior. Now we can take an example something like here. There is a shift towards healthier eating habits. This has led to an increase in demand for organic and natural food product. Business in food industry are responding by offering more organic options, which may involve higher cost but also catering to a growing consumer segment. Number six, externalities. So here we can consider a coal mining industry in India create negative externalities like air and water pollution affecting nearby communities. Business are required to invest in pollution control measures or face regulatory penalties, which impact their cost structure and profitability. The last issue, that is government regulation. Introduction of GST in India streamlined the tax system but required business to adjust their pricing, supply chain management and accounting policies. The next concept is production possibility curve and opportunity cost, popularly called as PPC. PPC is a simple economic model that shows the different combination of two goods or services that a country can produce with its limited resources. It highlights the trade-offs and opportunity cost involved in production decision. Now, what is a trade-off? It is an act of giving up one thing in order to gain something else. Opportunity cost. It is the value of the next best alternative that you give up when you make a choice. To understand this in simpler word, it is the cost of what you have to forego in order to choose something else. Consider an example here. India can use its resources to produce either rice or cotton. If India decides to produce more rice, it may have to reduce cotton production because resources like land, labor, and water are limited. Let's say India is currently producing 1000 tons of rice and 500 tons of cotton. If India want to increase rice production to 1200 tons, it might need to reduce cotton production to 400 tons because the same resources are focused more on rice. The opportunity cost of producing the additional 200 tons of rice is the 100 tons of cotton that India could have produced instead. Production possibility curve now whatever the example we have taken with respect to rice and wheat. Now if we are plotting same thing on a graph with rice on one axis and cotton on the other, the curve that shows all possible combination of rice and cotton that can be produced would be the production possibility curve. Point A on the PPC, that is production possibility curve, might represent producing 1000 tons of rice and 500 tons of cotton. Point B might represent 1200 tons of rice and 400 tons of cotton. Any point on the curve represent an efficient use of resources, while point inside the curve represent inefficient uses of resources, and point outside the curve are unattainable with current resources. In this way, the production possibility curve helps illustrate the concept of opportunity cost and the trade-off a country must make when deciding how to allocate its resources. Graph representing the PPC for India showing the trade-off between rice and cotton production. Point A represent 1000 tons of rice and 500 tons of cotton. Point B represent 1200 tons of rice and 400 tons of cotton. The curve illustrates how increasing rice production lead to a decrease in cotton production, highlight the cost of opportunity cost.